What's up, guys? Today we are doing a review of this guy here, the ZHIYUN something, that right there somewhere. Yeah, this brand, however you say it. I'm obviously not saying it right, but we're doing a review of the Crane 2 is all that matters. So let's get it started. To start out, we're just gonna take a look at the actual structure itself. So it's basically like any other gimbal. You have 3 motors, and then you have your quick release plate with where your camera goes. I got the extra dual grips that comes with it. Not necessary to get, but I personally like being able to hold it like this. It's very nice. Comes with this fantastic tripod. I can't tell you how much I enjoy it. I've had other gimbals with shorter tripods and it just tips on over, so it's fantastic. Not really. But all in all, it feels structurally stable. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't bend. It feels fantastic. And then once we are completely balanced like that, we can go ahead and we can power it on. And then it takes 3-4 seconds and then boom, we're good to go. And we have our fun stuff. So let's talk about some of the cool settings and functions we've got in this thing. So what we're gonna do, it comes with a variety of cables depending on what kind of camera you have. I have a Canon, this is for Canon. It plugs into the motor mount right up here. It's very conveniently placed. So we plug our cord in up here, and then we plug the other side into our camera. And the cool thing that this does is it allows you to control our settings in our camera with the gimbal. So with the cable, you can do a few things. One, you can change the settings on your camera. So I can change my ISO, my shutter, my aperture, all that fun stuff, just through the gimbal itself. So you don't have to mess with your camera while it's on, because as you can imagine, pressing the screen or hitting buttons on this is just very complicated when you've got all this in the way. So using the gimbal itself to actually change the settings is very convenient and nice when you're trying to shoot, and it's just really quick and easy to do. There's 3 modes in here, as we saw. So there's a mode where it'll lock it to one spot, so I can turn it on lock real quick. No matter which way I turn it, it locks it to the same particular point that it's looking at. Yeah, so I can turn it left, right, I can go up, down, and it will stay focused on the same point. And you can change the point you want with the joystick, up, down, left, right. Then wherever you leave it off at is where it'll stay. The next one, it's called PF, and this one allows you to pan left and right, but not up and, it does not allow you to tilt up and down. So you can only go left and right no matter where you go, even if you're way up here or way down here. So it's super convenient. The last one is follow mode. You have to double click the mode button, which is different from other gimbals. This one allows you to go up, down, and left and right all at the same time to get kind of your cinematic dolly or crane shots. So those are the 3 modes incorporated in here. Another cool thing, as you can notice, you have this wheel here. So the wheel is actually going to be your focus. So I can actually manually focus with this wheel here. And my lens is in autofocus, but it actually still manually focuses. But to make it easier, you put your lens in manual focus, and you can actually use rack focus or use the wheel to change your focus point if you prefer not to use autofocus when on a gimbal. So it's actually really cool that you can do this on just the gimbal itself. So that's what the cord does. Mine's hooked up for Canon. You can use Panasonic and Sony. There's no other settings in here for other types of cameras, but you know, if you have one and it fits, you can give it a try. So let's talk about some pros and cons of this thing, because even though it looks fantastic and everyone talks about it, there are some things that I absolutely do not like about this. Some pros, you can control your camera with settings on the controller of the gimbal. So I have my wheel that we looked at, and down here, and with the wheel, we can change the settings of the camera, ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. And you can also use the focus wheel to focus your camera. So that's a really huge plus. Another cool thing about the setup in here is we have the joystick, so we can move it left, right, up, down whenever we want. And we have a play stop button, which is also the power button to stop record. So that's really cool. You can buy the dual grip, which is nice. I personally like having 2 hands on it to make it more stable, and it helps me with my shots. Another pro is we have the nice foldable tripod on the bottom, so you can actually use it as its own handle if you need to. Sometimes I'll hold it like this if I need to, You can also use it to get lower shots if you want to be down here. Camera, sometimes you have to flip around and do all this mumbo jumbo, but eventually, you'll get it to where you can do an upside down shot to get, a shot of somebody's feet or something walking. So the tripod is super handy. It's really stable. My camera isn't going to go anywhere in reality. On top of the grips here, there's some screw holes to put a monitor, whatever realistically attachment you want to put on it, a light, a flash, whatever you prefer. So another pro is it's fairly easy to set up, fairly easy to use. All right, so let's talk about some cons with this thing, some reasons why not to buy it. So it's particularly only if you have a heavier camera. So I'm using the 5D Mark IV with an L series 16 to 35 lens. Both of these are particularly pretty heavy lenses to put on a gimbal, but it still works because the crank can hold up to, I believe, 7 pounds, which is fantastic. It's quite a bit of weight. However, even though my camera does not exceed the 7 pounds with the lens on it, it does struggle to do some things. So firstly, it does have an advertised battery life above 15 hours, I believe. And I have used it at a few weddings and it has only lasted me about less than 10 hours. And I'm assuming it's because it's a heavier camera, but it still stresses me out because it only comes with one set of batteries and I can run out, at any time. I've been on one bar at a wedding at maybe a little over halfway through, and I'm only there for 8-9 hours usually. So having that advertised very long battery life but only getting less than 10 is kind of frustrating. All right, so another con is it does have a quick release plate, which is fantastic, but it's not particularly the same exact quick release plate as other tripods I've used, such as Manfrotto or other brands. It does fit on my Manfrotto tripod head, but it's not exact fit. So it does tighten down to a certain tightness, but it does wiggle a little bit, which makes me a little nervous. But when I'm not using it, particularly if I'm, just walking from point to point or going from location to location, I either turn it off or deactivate the motors. So the battery life isn't necessarily user error of me having it on 24/7. I do unactivate it when I'm not using it, so it just wiggles around because I do want to save the battery life, but that is another thing. So that's it today for the Crane 2, guys. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. If you want more content like this, feel free to hit the subscribe button on one of these sides here. And if you have any questions or comments about what I did, feel free to put a comment below. I would love to hear your opinions about what I'm doing wrong or if I'm doing something wrong. I will admit it if I am. I'm not 100%, with this gimbal. I might be not using it right or something. So just let me know. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys on the next one.